This week's episode of the Average Joseph podcast is brought to you by the Lebanon Meat Market, Samantha Claypool, Marion County Public Library, Miss Julia McKay, and DJ Young Greg. When I originally started when I had the idea, I wanted to approach these kind of like how I do with a therapy session. Mm-hmm. So I always have book and pen in hand. But the first two episodes I didn't. But if you do see me writing, it's just to maybe you've said something and I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I want to revisit something.
I got you.
But yeah, so
are we live now?
Yeah, we're recording right now. So Tyler McMillian and Monroe County native, and also childhood best friend. I figure people understand there's a pattern to my first few guests, but married. How long have you?
We married in September 2017, so that's, I guess we're coming up on 9 years. 8 and a half. September 30th.
You're 8 years now.
Oh yeah, and we started dating in 2009. Yeah, that's been over half of her life, almost half of my life.
Yeah, dude. And I remember because that was all through high school. Or senior year.
My senior year, her freshman year.
Yeah. All those just kind of run together. It seemed like when we were in high school, the people, when we were seniors, and then down through the freshman class, and maybe it was just because we all played football, and then Michaela and them were cheerleaders, but it just seemed like we all really met. Even though we were all separate grades, we meshed really well. But everybody, that's something I learned. Everybody starts with a gift.
Awesome. Thank you.
So
you want me to open it here?
Yeah, go ahead. And it's got one. Well, both of them I'll explain. But since you're in your writing era right now,
that's awesome.
Swifties like to say. So the first one, let me see what that top one is.
Shadow Growth Journal.
Shadow Growth Journal. Yeah. Are you familiar with the?
I am not.
So the shadows, without going too nerdy, the shadow is going to be more like the parts of yourself that you tend to shy away, or you kind of stuff down because you don't want to bring out, but in reality they're just as much a part of who you are, and learning how to integrate them in a healthy way helps you to be your more genuine self. Now this is for you, and
do you want me to hold it up?
Yeah, I can show it right here since I'm talking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's your father's story, which I know G-Max passed away, and we'll talk about that too. But this would be more for you and your boys.
Yeah, man. I've seen these on the TikTok shop. Those are awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I think it's super important because, especially after Dad started deploying. I love Dad, and Dad and I are super close. Our relationship's great, but that's something that I need to do with him because there's a lot from his childhood that. I'd like to know. I know some of the highlights, I think, but yeah.
Oh man, and you don't realize, until they're gone, so many things that I wish I'd asked them. So many things, and not even just my dad, but my mom and my grandmother.
Yeah.
There's so many things about my family history and just in general, so many things I wish that we had talked about, and it's I urge everyone to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it's too late.
Is there one question that stands out right now? If G-Mac was here, you'd ask, or your mom?
Not one question with my dad in particular, but I wish that I'd asked more questions about my grandfather. Okay. So my grandfather, Rue McMillian, he passed away. I think my dad was 16, so I never met him, and it's just I don't know a lot about him other than the few times my dad would tell me stories, and I wish that I had consciously brought that up in conversation, because there's not. I don't know how old he would be if my grandpa if he was still alive. He would probably be 100 or somewhere around that. Yeah. So there's not many people other than my aunts and uncles that I guess would have stories about him. So I just wish that I'd gotten my dad to talk about that more, so I could learn a little bit more about our family history. Yeah. What really got me to thinking about that, before I got into coaching, I would go to Summershed Golf Course and play in the scrambles every week. And there's a barber. I don't know if he's still an active boy. His last name was Bowman. You may be related to him. Yeah. So I got paired with him.
Okay.
At one of the scrambles a couple years back. And he, like, of course, we introduce ourselves, and he gets my name, and he says, you probably wouldn't know him. I'm like, well, who is it that you're thinking about? And he said, Rue McMillian. I used to know Rue McMillian. I cut his hair. I'm like, so he says that, and I'm like, God, you've got to be, like, really old.
He's actually, so you remember Kaylee Pettit?
Yeah, it's her
granddad.
Yeah, he mentioned that, but I'm like, yeah, that's actually my grandfather. So while we were golfing, he got to tell me a few stories about my grandpa, and that got me to, like, thinking about it.
Yeah. And, let's see, my Pop Carter, he passed away, I think it was 2008, 2007, 2008. He was running there. Of course, Nanny Carter just passed away. But I do want to spend time talking about relatives and things like that, but can we start with you talking about your boys a little bit, to the degree you want to share about them?
Oh man, so I've got two sons. I've got a 6-year-old Asher Gray, and I've got a 3-year-old Harlan Kane, and they are they're giving me gray hair. Yeah. it's there's nothing like it, having kids and watching them grow and develop, and like even as young as like 1, watching them develop like their own personalities, and I don't know, I feel like as a man, especially with sons, like before I had kids, I always pictured my kids being a certain way, and just like they're nothing. Like they're nothing like I pictured they would be. And they're so different from each other. Like Asher, I mean Harlan's 3, so his personality is obviously still developing, but him and like they have such different interests and personalities, and the way they interact with people is different. I don't know, it's just like surprising every day. You learn something every day. You've got hilarious times, you got those tough times where you've got to discipline them. Michaela is not a huge fan of disciplining them.
Most mothers aren't.
I always get stuck with like they've got to
being the bad guy.
Yeah, I've got to be the bad cop.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
but it is what it is.
And I mean, respecting your dad. I mean, I know you respected GMAC. I respect my dad, and I mean they disciplined us, and it wasn't like they beat us or anything. But I mean they. Well, I mean, I ain't gonna say one way or the other on some people, but you know. Like they do respect, and I think moms and sons definitely, like, they do have a closer attachment, and it's much more difficult for a mother to. It seems, from my experience, for a mother to discipline her son. But do they have a preference? Like, are they both mama's boys, or are they kind of switch both dads?
I feel like, honestly, they've went through like phases where there'll be like Asher. When he was younger than he is now, he was very much so a mama's boy, like very attached to her, and he still is. Like there's still things that he'll go to her for that he won't talk to me about. But now that he's older and he's starting to get into Little League and things like that, that relationship with me is evolving. Where like, Michaela's not gonna go out in the yard and throw football with him, or she's not gonna throw baseball with him, things like that. He's very much getting a love for football. Like he plays Xbox a little bit. Yeah, so I noticed like there's
a correlation there.
He's getting to where he wants to play football on the Xbox. He plays flag football, like Little League flag football. He's always wanting to throw football. He comes to football practice with me like every day. Yeah. So and I'm so thankful for that. I guess I've been coaching since like 2019, I guess. So Asher has had just rounds and rounds of brothers, because those football players, man, they take up with him. Like they would fight for him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
is it? Do you see any similarity in that relationship? Because like, John's boys, when they were, which they're grown now, but like when we were in high school, like,
oh man, I remember. Do you remember Jameson? Dropping his pants at Meet? Was it Meet the Team? Man. I bring it every time I see. Not every time I see him, but I bring that up to him a lot. Like, you remember that?
Yeah. Hey, we have our moments.
They're grown now. I had Jameson in class. I missed. I didn't have Curtis in class. I think he was a freshman my first year teaching.
So let's kind of just start in the take it back to elementary. Actually, before we do that, there was a question that came into mind. Oh, having your kids. So Asher, you said is 6.
He's 6.
6.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how far back your memory goes. You'd probably be a few more years until you'd be able to actually answer this question. But I'm just curious, like if there's things that you understand now as a parent that you didn't as a kid.
Oh,
towards your parents.
just a ton of stuff, really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about like lessons my dad taught me and times that he was hard on me. And as a kid, I'm like, what's your deal?
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got my kids, and you've got this idea of how you want them to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest thing is like, before I had kids, I would talk to Michaela, and I'd even talk to my dad. I'm like, I just hope they play sports, and I hope they're into this, and I hope they're into that. And that's not important to me at all anymore. I just want them to be good people.
Yeah.
And I just want them to treat people well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at, I had friends when I was a kid that I guess that their parents pushed them more toward athletics and things like that. And my dad was never really like that, even though he played sports and it was such a big part of his life. He didn't push me into anything. And I guess around like adolescence, I would look at that and like, why was he never, concerned with that? Like, why was it not important to him? Did he not want me to be successful? I thought, like, what was the deal? But now, like, I kind of understand more. Like, he just wanted me to be me. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't play anything until 3rd or 4th grade. Yeah. My dad, of course, I know a lot of people have different opinions on this. My dad didn't really value, like, organized sports at, like, ages 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And
no,
I think he thought,
I
think he thought that I could learn more in the backyard with him than I was going to. Like, I know a lot of people play t-ball and they put their kids in t-ball, and that's awesome. But Dad, like, he would make fun of it a lot, and he's like, "You're just going to be playing in the dirt."
Oh gosh, I kind of remember t-ball, but it wasn't too long, obviously, till we started moving up to like a pitching machine, and it was that like very year I took a baseball from a pitching machine to the face, and that ended up pushing me away. Now that's not like everybody, like that doesn't happen to everybody, but it was enough at that time to shy me away from that. And you talked about having that time with him in the backyard, like that's quality time, and I think about, which I know the Wilson family, like they played sports all their life, but I think I'll just brag on them if I can, because like you can tell that Larry and Terry Lynn, like, they invested their time in their kids, and they just turned out to be phenomenal people.
Oh, they've got, like, shout out to Neil. That whole family's got such a work ethic.
I know, dude. On the tobacco field,
I still see Neil, and I don't know if I see Chad out as much, but I see Neil out weed eating a lot.
Yeah, dude, they're just outgoing. And
but like talking about that, I remember one thing that just stuck out to me that I remember my dad not letting me do that I was so mad about. So I started playing Little League Baseball in 3rd grade. I was on the Diamondbacks, played with Jackson. Tracy Arnett was the coach. Derek Profit was an assistant coach. And I fell in love with baseball immediately. Loved it. And Tracy had a travel ball team at the time, the Storm or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember.
That actually sounds somewhat familiar.
They were blue and orange, Southern Kentucky Storm. And I got invited after that season to play on the travel team. And my dad wouldn't let me. And like, I don't know. Money may have played a role in it. We weren't like in deep poverty or anything when I was a kid, but we
You grew up in Monroe County.
Yeah. But I'd always wondered if that had a role in it. But now I think he just wanted me to be a kid. He didn't want me to play a sport year round. He wanted me to dip my feet into everything and find what I loved, But for a long time I was mad about that, because I'm like, I loved baseball at that age, and I saw all these kids my age playing travel ball, and it felt like maybe they were getting more practice and more opportunities because they were showing dedication, and it's like I wasn't getting to play, so I was worried it was going to impact my role, like on school teams and Little League, like just moving forward. But now as a parent, I'm like, I don't want my kids like pushed into something like that either. Now, if Asher develops into wanting to play like baseball or basketball year round, something like that, we'll find a way to support that. But I also see where my dad was coming from as far as wanting me to be a kid.
For sure. And you talked about your kids wanting them to grow up. You had this image of who they're going to grow up to be, or what it's going to be like for them growing up, and then it's different now. But you also said you want them to be kids, and I think that's actually a sign of that's a healthy sign, because it's. I don't know that this is true. This is just how I kind of work it out in my head. It's like at every stage of life, you kind of have, like, if you're honest with yourself and you have an honest and somewhat accurate way to assess your peer group and things like that, you establish that hierarchy, and so you want to be the best, and then at that stage, and then you want it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to make sure my kids are the best or near the best. And now you're like, so you do that throughout all the years of school, sports, but now you're at the stage of life where you are making a life, and it's like, okay, I actually just want them to be good people, because that is what, at the end of the day, is going to matter more than anything.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So you said around fourth grade that you started playing football. Did you feel like peer pressure or anything?
Are you heading the same direction?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Did you get bullied into playing, or what?
It was fifth grade. Fifth grade was my first year playing.
Okay.
So me and you, we were in Don Cleary's class together in fourth grade.
Yes.
And we'd both tossed around the idea of playing football in fourth grade, but neither one of us played, or we signed up. So fifth grade, we promised each other we're both going to sign up to play football. Right, I was going to play because you were going to play. You were going to play because I was. And so I signed up, and like back then, I remember you'd sign up and you would show up. I think we met at TS, and they had like a draft. Like all the new players would line up against the wall, and they'd draft you. So it felt cool. I
remember this for some reason.
Oh yeah, because I showed up and you weren't there.
Yeah.
So
I didn't play, man.
I wouldn't have played had it not been for that.
So you're welcome. I mean, and like, here's the thing: like, you might have not turned out to be the star player that you would.
Oh yeah,
negative influence
with my illustrious college career.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And so I remember we were pretty tight through elementary school, but then. What classes? So I enjoy doing this with foot. Do you remember middle school very much?
Man, my memory is insanely vivid.
Okay,
and I know it, like, it gets vivid enough at times. I feel like people don't believe me, but I can remember my class schedule through most of middle school.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Like, so sixth grade we come in. Me and you had Marlene Ross for
we did.
advanced 3 math first period that morning.
Gosh, dude.
And do you remember we couldn't go to our lockers? Like, we were allowed 2 minutes between classes. We had 5 minutes every third class. We could only go to our locker every third class.
Yes.
So we were packing stacks of books, like 20-pound stacks of books to class.
Yes, I remember that.
So I would leave Marlene Ross. I would go to Janice Pitcock, second period for English.
Yes.
Shout out. And Janice was one of the first teachers that really started to develop my love for reading and writing. I hated school up until, and I don't know that I ever really liked school, but I started to hate it less around 6th or 7th grade. And then I would leave Janice Pitcock, so I'd go to Linda Pitcock for social studies. I think in 6th grade it was geography. I think we had to fill out the maps. Like, I remember labeling the states on the map.
Yeah.
And we labeled all the states in Mexico. We labeled the continents.
Yeah,
I can still remember a lot of that.
Hey, that was the year that Friends ended too.
Yep. I
never
really got into Friends.
Yeah, I didn't either, but it was just such a cultural thing at the time. Like,
I may have watched an episode or two, like it was on TV, but I've never watched it. I guess maybe we should jump on that train sometime and see what it's all about.
I don't know.
I never watched Game of Thrones either.
I haven't either. I
feel like that displays a lot of willpower.
A lot of willpower, yeah. I mean, maybe Friends. I didn't think I was going to get into The Office, but I did around 2019 just start watching it.
I have tried to watch The Office 4 or 5 different times, and I can't get past the first episode.
I know, man, and that's what I had to tell everybody, and that's what I had to keep telling myself to get through it. And finally, it's just like, you know, that one. Like sometimes you're stuck with a person they just get on your nerves. And then it's either like it just builds and builds and builds, and you're either going to hate this person or you're just going to have to give up. And they say something to make you laugh or whatever, and then it's just like, for whatever reason, from that point on, you're good. Like, I hate to describe The Office that way, but that's what it was. Once you get through the first season, and you kind of establish somewhat of a relationship, like a mental relationship with these characters.
I have so many friends that watch The Office that I understand Office references that I never watch the show and understand the references.
Yeah, and and shout out. I want to step out to the side for a second to wish my sister a happy birthday. Nick sent I say GIF. Is it GIF or GIF?
I say GIF, but I've been told I don't know.
I'm going to say GIF, whatever. But he sent the GIF of Dwight they had to save money, so he just bought a sign that said, "It is your birthday." And he sent that into the family chat this morning. So, Amy, I'm sure you're miserable wherever you're at because your husband doesn't love you or take care of you in any capacity whatsoever, and doesn't put every other husband on the face of this planet to shame. But, I love you and happy birthday, and I do know you're having a good time. So,
happy birthday, Amy.
Yeah, she's crushing it. So, anyway, back to middle school.
Oh, yeah. I would leave... So I'd leave Linda Pickox and I would go to Linda Hunt for humanities and study skills. Do you remember that class? I think you may have been in my class with Austin Burge and Justin Carter were in there. I remember, and they would call Ms. Hunt grandma, and it would make her livid. Do you remember that? And then I would leave there. I'd go to Don Cleary for reading. And 6th period was a rotational class, like a 6-week rotation. I think we had like drama. Donna Smith taught drama. Faye Hallman taught the Bill of Rights class. He had keyboarding. That might have been Miss Holder. I can't remember who did keyboarding.
But then, was it Debbie Copus that coached? She taught science.
Yeah.
Were you in that class?
Mm-hmm. I had her the last period of the day. So after I left the rotation, I would go. My 7th period was PE. So I had Garland Grace, health and PE. And then I would go to 8th period, and it was Debbie Copus for science. Mm-hmm. I can still go in those rooms. I work at the middle school now. Mm-hmm. So I can go in those rooms, and I can tell you where I sat in those rooms. I can tell you who I sat beside. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I have such like a memory block that... And I know it's probably sounds odd, but there's reasons that people like go back and visit places that they went to as a kid because it helps to kind of just bring stuff back and kind of unionizes the past and present. But I want to go back, like I want to do like a walkthrough because I blocked so much of that stuff out. And I didn't have a good time because I had mono, man. I
remember that. You did it twice in 1 year, didn't you?
I had it twice. I either had it twice in a year or like
it just drug on.
It was like, I know I had it twice, and I had it in 6th grade and then maybe in 7th grade too. But I mean, it was like not fun. I hurt so bad in my ankles and my hips, and it was not fun. But yeah. Anyway, so that got us. I don't remember anything too significant going on in 6th grade. Do you want to? Is there anything? Is there more?
I remember. I mean, nothing. I just remember. We had a lot of friends that stayed back that year.
What was that about?
Little League. I think most of them played Little League again because when we were in school, if you stayed back a year in 7th or 8th grade, you couldn't play sports. You had to sit out a year. So that's not a thing anymore. The 7th and 8th grade athletes can stay back now, and they don't have to sit out a year.
Okay.
And so that changed during COVID.
Gotcha.
So COVID happened. High school athletes were given the 1 year, like grace year. They could stay back and or retain an year of eligibility. And then middle school kids could do the same thing. high school, after that first COVID year, went back to the normal rule. So you only had that one grace year. Middle school never really went back to setting out if you stayed back. I know. So middle school athletics in Kentucky are sort of complicated. It's like the Wild West a little bit. The high school is governed by the KHSAA. Mm-hmm. So, but the middle school is not really governed by anything. I know I know middle school football, especially, there's no real governing body. So we try to abide by most of the KHSAA rules. Okay. But like there are conferences, so and there's a state playoff system and things like that. But even the state playoff system in middle school is not like a school affiliation. It's a private like organization of guys who just got together and organized it. Mm-hmm. So to compete in the state playoffs in middle school, you pay a fee. You join this organization at the beginning of the year, and you pay a fee, and then you don't. I don't want to misquote them, but they base their seating on like the level, like the size of the schools you play. So in middle school, like in high school, there's 1 through 6A. Mm-hmm. In middle school, that organization organizes it 1 through 3A. Okay. So Monroe County is a 1A, I think. It's either 1 or 3. We're the smallest of the A's. Yeah. So if we were to play, say Monroe County were to play like a Bowling Green, and they beat us by 60, we're going to get more points toward our seeding than if we were to play a small school and beat them by 60. Okay. So it's kind of different, I think, and that may be loosely based around how they do it. I may have misquoted a little bit, but you get the point. It's a
roundabout.
Yeah, you get the picture.
Yeah.
And there's conferences, and like rules vary between conferences. And like I know we played at Dare County maybe 2 years ago, and I can't remember the specifics, but there were some things that they did different from some of the other conferences that we played in. Monroe County is actually not in a conference. Okay. So we play our 8 to 10 games a season, and then just call it a day. Because the state playoffs, if you participate in that, they run into like no. And that would cut in. Like, man, you're cutting into like half our basketball season. Mm-hmm. So if I had basketball players on the team, they would miss a lot of their season if they were competing in the state playoffs for football. And we can't get in a conference. Or in the past, we've had trouble getting into conferences because we play our middle school softball in the fall. And most of those conferences have spring middle school softball, and they want all of your sports to be in that conference if you join. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know why I got on that.
No, you're good, dude. Because I that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about was just kind of like the differences in middle school.
It's
or middle school sports.
That's what you see a lot of holdbacks now.
Yeah.
So I've had a handful of holdbacks every year since I've been coaching, and I think every player that we've had stay back for the purpose of sports, I think benefited from it. Mm-hmm. I've never encouraged a player to stay back. I feel like that's a conversation for that athlete and their parents. Mm-hmm. I don't want to feel like I'm pushing a child in a direction and then it back, that's a decision for them and their parents. I've had some players reach out to me and ask me my opinion. Yeah. Now, if they reach out to me, if they open the door, then that's a conversation we'll have, and I'll lay it out. But I still try. I don't try to persuade players into staying back. But now a lot of teams that we play against, and I won't mention any schools, but we play some teams that we've played a couple teams in the past 3 or 4 years that have basically been freshman teams.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. Like, I don't know your opinion. This is my opinion on it, and anybody that disagrees with me, like they may very well have a very valid reason for disagreeing or an observation that I don't. But I don't see a true. The reason I could see someone staying back specifically for sports is if there was like a potential that you saw there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how you accurately make that determination at that age.
Yep.
So let's say you were to not encourage someone to stay back, but like if they did, what do you think their reasoning for doing it? Would it be sports specifically, or would it be like an education-based thing?
I don't know that many players, from my experience coaching, have stayed back for any other reason than just to develop in that sport that they're attached to. But I'll tell you what, of the kids that I've seen stay back, I've seen tremendous growth in those kids, like in terms of maturity and academically. Okay. So, like, I think a lot of people overlook this in the school system, but that COVID year back 2020, man, we had some kids like slip and fall behind. Yes. Like a lot of kids missed a full year. Oh. I know several kids that stayed virtual for 1-2 years. So I don't think you're ever going to harm yourself by staying back and getting another year of school and another year of sports.
Yeah. And I can see that. I can see that, cuz you, at the very least, it's not going to hurt anything. Mm-hmm. And I do see how you could get that. I mean, a year in development at that stage of life is huge, and so I could see how having that extra year. So from that standpoint, I could see it. Yeah. You know, but then you talked about the kids that struggled. I mean, even as an adult, like going from the world we lived in to the COVID environment back to the world we live in, which is it's still not like we've never gone back to that mentality truly, but it was hard enough to just like basically gaslight yourself into being a functioning human being again. Oh, yeah. So I can't even imagine that as a kid.
So many things are different now, just compared. Like, I think about 2019 and like, I feel like you have trouble finding people to do work.
Oh, I know. Like,
you order things and like people are like, I can get to you in 6 months or so.
Yeah, I'll get to you. And it wasn't necessarily this. Foot and I were talking about AI a little bit with this, but I think you see this because of what went on with COVID and how we adapted to it, and now like trying to shift back. There's people who learned how to function like at a decent level with minimal effort, and they're continuing to do that. Mm-hmm. The issue is that you essentially are capped out in your development, like your what's the right word? Like you're where you're going to be. Oh, so if you want to move forward, you have to suck it up and get back, and you have to get.
Oh, you got to get out of that comfort zone. Yeah. Like there's so many people found that comfort zone during COVID, and they're like, I like it here.
Yeah. You know. And I mean, I'm not. I shouldn't knock anybody doing that. Like if you're fine and happy doing that, like go for it. But me, I can't.
Oh man, it was difficult for me. Like I'm not gonna sit here and judge people that had trouble getting back to like normality after COVID was over, because I struggled with it vastly. So we during the COVID year, I remember it was I had that 8th grade class, and man, I can tell some interesting stories about COVID, by the way. But it was around March that year, and I remember it was in the news and all that was going on, and the kids, like we were told, the kids are going to go home for 2 weeks. We're going to slow the curve.
Yeah, and flatten that curve.
That 2 weeks, I never saw that class again. Yeah. Those kids, that was the last time I saw that class in person. We never went back to school, and I can't remember how we stayed virtual for part of the next school year too. I can't remember how long. I can't remember what part of that year we came back, but I remember, man, that first day waking up at 6:30 and going back to work was a struggle. It was awful. I played a lot of Call of Duty Warzone for 6 months or so.
Another sidestep was Call of Duty Warzone actually as good as we remember it, or was it because it was there for us in the middle?
Oh, it was there. It was that coping mechanism for coping, and that was, man, like you couldn't go out and do things. Like really restaurants were closed, and you couldn't go to the mall, and you weren't. I think there was like a gathering limit. Like you weren't supposed to wasn't there like you couldn't have like more than 8 people gathering? So it was like that's how I bonded with my friends. Like we would get on Call and man, we would play. Me and some of my guys that I played Call of Duty with at that time, we played till 3-4 in the morning.
Oh, yes. I was going through a major breakup at that time, and like that, like I said, like so it was there in more ways than one.
Oh yeah.
But like we had that unity of what online multiplayer was meant for. Was when you can't socialize in person, you can still socialize and still. But I was just kind of curious. I think
Warzone drug like a lot of our generation back into gaming.
Oh,
it's like I remember PUBG maybe the first battle royale style game.
It was because I was deployed in 2018, and there were people that played PUBG.
So I played PUBG for a little bit, and then I remember Fortnite came out, and my kids still play Fortnite. Asher loves it, but I never got into it. I don't like the cartoonish aspect of it. I never got into Fortnite, but it seemed like that Call of Duty Warzone Battle Royale like nailed it. It was like that perfect like realism mixed with what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's fantasy. Like it was just you could get on there and man, we'd play for hours.
As far as Warzone goes, like when it first came out, and this is when I first started hearing the term sweats. Like, when it first came out, sweats weren't a thing. Like, there weren't people running and sliding around and doing all these things. Like, you could play it traditionally, and where it shifted now, and why I don't enjoy it is because of that.
I can't remember which. I remember the OG Warzone on Verdansk was just they nailed it. And if they brought Verdansk back, I'd probably pull the jersey back out.
Oh my gosh, dude! When they opened up the soccer stadium on that, they blew the top. It was like, and then they started like running a train around the map.
It had its own little storyline.
It had its own storyline. There was.
Did you ever do the museum glitch? Or it wasn't a glitch. It was like an Easter egg type thing where you could go in and
hit
like
the button.
Well, they had the paintings, and there was like it was like a code you had to figure out. And like once you got into the museum, it was like you had like a minute and a half, or like gas started pumping into the room to figure the code out.
Yeah.
But if you figured it out, you unlocked like you get on the subway, and it would take you to this room full of like crazy loot, and you get a juggernaut.
Yeah.
I played with Cody York and Austin Wheeler, Brandon Wheeler. A few other guys. I'm sorry if I'm leaving your name out and you're watching this, but like Austin had like nailed it to a science. So we got a juggernaut every time we played.
Yeah. Oh, and they had the one game mode where it was like you were still on a 4-man team, but you were playing against essentially bots, but you were running missions against like bots. Like it had its own little continuation storyline where like, and I loved it so much because it was like every story of movies, video games is always like the U.S. versus Russia or U.S. versus China. And then it was like, this one was like, okay, it was U.S. and Russia versus the bad Russians. And like, I thought that was such a cool setup. But anyway, let's go back real quick to
we're on COVID.
I want to talk about you. I don't want to shift too much, but at what year did you start coaching middle school football?
Middle school football. It was the COVID around the COVID year.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Jason Grissom, shout out Jason Grissom, awesome guy. I try to model. Jason's I think he's actually the athletic director at South Warren right now.
Okay, that's where Finn, my nephew, is.
He was the first coach that I assisted. He got me into coaching, and I try to model so many things I do after his coaching style. He was so organized. The players loved playing for him. I learned so much from him in that year. So just shout out to him for being like a coaching role model. But that was, I think it was either the year before COVID or the COVID year was my first year involved with middle school football.
And what was your specific coaching role?
My role that year, I coached DBs and receivers. I wasn't like a coordinator or anything. I worked with DBs and receivers. I remember that group had like this year's seniors on Monroe County's team. They were on that team, and we were solid that year. We might have went like 9-2, 8-2, something like that. Just solid year. I remember they had like organized a little district thing that we played in at the time with Monroe County, Glasgow, Allen County, Barron County. And I think we won district that year and maybe the next year. Mm-hmm. And like just an awesome group of kids to coach. I fell in love with it, and a lot of memories from that year. But that really started my like that birthed like my desire to get into coaching and maybe become a head coach down the road.
Mm-hmm. So that was COVID. So you've been what 5-6 years now? You've been
roundabout.
And so, how long of a journey was it from then until taking on that head coaching role?
I assisted Coach Grissom, Jason, and then Randy Knuckles coached a season. Okay. Bryson was on that team, and I coached under him. He gave me a little more responsibility. I guess technically I would have been like a defensive coordinator or something. I try. With middle school, you try to avoid terms like that because you don't have like 12, 15-man staffs at middle school. Like this last year, we had 3 guys on the staff. So it's like you kind of got to be a jack of all trades coaching middle school. I feel like you need to be well-rounded and well-prepared to like deal with just about any situation thrown at you in middle school. Youth football. We'll say youth football. But I primarily defense that year.
Okay.
And I still had Braden Baxter and Branson, Bryson was on that team. Reese Bartley was on that team, and several other guys.
Now they're seniors this year, right?
Yeah, well, most of them. Some of them are juniors. Just a bunch of great athletes. That whole class. I mean, I could keep naming. There are 30, 40 kids on that team. I can't ever remember them all, but just a bunch of great kids, good work ethic. And the thing about those guys, they played for each other. They loved being together. They were all best friends. It's like not to rant forever, but like that's the message I try to get across to the teams that I coach now. Like the first day of practice, I give the same spiel. Nothing's ever changed. I want them to understand, like, if you want to do something special as a team, you need to be able to look across from you or look next to you at the guy across from you and next to you. You need to want them to succeed just as bad as you want yourself to. I mean, like, you have to. You got to be a unit
because you don't succeed without them, and they don't succeed without you.
It can't be about me. You can't worry about it. You run into problems in youth football, and you run into problems in high school when you've got egos that are unchecked, and like when you've got a bunch of guys that are worried about, well, why is that his role on the team? Why can't I step into that role? That kind of thing. I try to really build that camaraderie and that relationship before we worry about anything else. I watch a lot. I don't know how familiar you are with like Greg Olson and Luke Kuechly. They coach middle school football in, I think it's North or South Carolina.
Is it? I was going to say, are they on like a documentary?
Well, they've got like a TikTok page. Okay. It's starting to blow up right now. Okay. So Greg Olson and Luke Kuechly, I think they both played for the Carolina Panthers. They're like big name NFL players.
Yeah, that's probably.
They retired from the NFL and they're coaching middle school football now. Yeah. They're not even coaching high school football. They went. I don't know what their relationship with the school or anything. I kind of ran across it before it started blowing up and started following those guys, and I subscribe to a lot of their like coaching philosophies, where they talk a lot about the developmental mindset versus the winning mindset. So that's what I try to focus on. Like, I mean, middle school football to me is the bridge between little league and high school. So it's that transition year. So little league to me, my opinion, the main focus should be, are the kids having fun? Are they developing a love and a passion for the game? Do they want to play next year? Let's build the program. Let's get as many kids to fall in love with it as we can. Middle school, that's still the goal, but now you're starting to transition into that. Okay, we want to win. Right. Like, we're not gonna sacrifice winning for. Is everybody? You want everybody. I don't want to word this poorly. You don't want to sacrifice it for is everybody, just loving the role that they've got. You want them to understand the role that they need to step into.
Right. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to not take some L's, but you're gonna have to give, not just take.
It's like you can't sacrifice. You want a winning mindset, but in middle school and youth football, you can't sacrifice the developmental mindset for the winning mindset. You can, if you're focused on developmental mindset, you can have both. But if your focus is just winning, then you're sacrificing a lot of the developmental aspects, I feel like.
Well, you're teaching them that, and again, I don't want this to sound, because I think there's a way I could say this, and you're teaching them that winning is the only thing that matters. And at the same time, winning matters. Winning is what you want to do, but there comes a time in life where like what it looks like to win isn't necessarily the scoreboard.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's our goal. I tell my kids our goal, of course, like we talked about the relationships and the camaraderie and like let's build that family mindset. And then it's like, am I better than I was yesterday? Did I come in this week every day and did I get better each day? If I can say yes at the end of that sentence, then you won that week. But now that's also a hard age group to get that message across to 100%. I mean,
I don't have the patience.
If you go into coaching middle school and you think you're just gonna just kill it every single day and everybody's gonna get better every single day, nobody's gonna get off task or distracted, then you're lying to yourself.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think, because I'm too. Me personally, I'm too. Perspective is too rigid. Like my perspective is open enough to know like that everything you're describing is accurate and true, but I don't have the patience and tolerance for it. So I have to stay away from that. And that's where like the military was great, because that was like rigid and structured. And you're either meeting that standard or you're not. And if you're not, it's not healthy to be this way either. But if you're not meeting the standard, well, you're basically socially out until you're back into the standard. But how, talking about like, establishing like relationships and that developmental, like I know developmental, like that can refer to like fundamentals and stuff like that. But as far as just like developing like good social camaraderie, how pivotal do you feel like our time in high school football was?
Oh man, I could go on and on and on about that. To me, like, and that's a lot of the reason that I'm so into coaching. I feel like I owe so much to that program. Like I have such a love for, the Monroe County football program from top to bottom. It was, and you were there for a lot. We were tight. You knew a lot of the stuff I had going on like behind the scenes. Yeah. I owe so much to the program for like the person I am today. A lot of it in high school, how do I want to word this? A lot of it in high school, a lot of it was an escape for me just from a lot of the stuff I was dealing with like outside of school and outside of football. It was like for every day at practice, man, for 2 hours, like I didn't have to think about anything else. And then also, we played on some good teams. Our freshman year, I got Dr. Murphy, my boss. Got a shout out to Dr. Murphy. He played at UK. That was a strong class, man. They were huge. And we didn't have, like our freshman year, we didn't have 80 players on the team.
We had roughed up.
We were on the scout team.
We were, because like I had teachers, because it was my first year ever playing football, because like I just didn't want to show out the years before, so I didn't play to my freshman year. But I had teachers like, dude, why are you so bruised up? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm lining up against Billy John, Frankie, Joseph Walden, and I'm half their size.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was it, man. It was,
we owe so much to those classes ahead of us for how good we were senior year. I feel like, just being on those scout teams, like we developed insanely, like just insane rates.
We did. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
It like just being like going through that. So like, when you're on it, I don't want no knock on like teams that don't have a lot of winning seasons, but we were behind a lot of talented players. So a lot of us, like you think about like me and Jordan and some other guys in our class, like me and Jordan were offered scholarships to play football, and we were only 1 year starters.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's tough when you're 15, 16 years old, and you're like, I feel like I'm good enough to contribute, but you're behind these levels of guys. Like you learn a lot of life lessons. Like as far as how to be patient, how to accept your role, how to work for something. Like,
oh yeah, I have one person that comes to mind immediately when it comes to who I attribute, not single-handedly, but dadgum close for like after our sophomore season, going into their senior year, they were like, this cannot happen again.
Michael High.
Yes. I mean, and he was like, I remember, and I'm going to quote him, and he said, he stopped me in the hallway. He said, look, we are going to the stadium after school today, and we are running, and we're getting your fat ass into shape.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hey, I don't feel like I have a choice, so I'm going. I was running stairs, hating life, didn't want to do it again.
We went I think it was every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. And I was like, this ain't going to work. Like, we're just going to be. And then, oh my gosh,
12.
dude.
Do you remember we were in the weight room. I don't know if it was like a weightlifting session, what we were doing, but we were stretching. And I remember Mikhail was in the middle of the circle, and he's like, we clapped twice,
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So we're clapping 3 times. Everything we do this season is going to be different. If you wore black shoelaces last year, you better have white shoelaces on.
Yeah,
I remember that. So I can still see like where I was standing in the weight room looking at him say that. And shout out Mikhail, such a role model for us.
Such a role model. Dislocated his shoulder like every other practice.
I'll give you my Mikhail story.
Okay,
and I know he's not going to remember this, but I think I was a freshman. And this is the moment that it like clicked for me and like, man, I gotta step it up and take this seriously.
Oh, yeah.
I think we were freshmen, might have been sophomore year, but I'm at the bench press. Me and Trevor Whitty are bench pressing. Trevor's spotting me, and like we would goof off, and like try to get each other to laugh or whatever while we were lifting. And it like I could bench 135 easily, but Trevor like did something to me in the middle of my set and got me tickled, and I dropped the bar on my chest, and I'm like cracking up.
Yes.
And Mikhail comes over there. And he leans down and he says, do you think it's funny you can't bench 135? And I'm just like, I'm froze. I feel like this tall. And I'm like, I can bench 135. And he's like, you play linebacker and you can't bench 135? You think that's funny? Yeah. And he just walks off. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we got a different mindset in there.
Yeah, dude, it was scary there for a while.
That was a pivotal moment for me.
It was scary, but I mean, it paid off. It changed everything. Like that junior year changed for me. It changed everything because I had never belonged to a program, social circle, whatever you call it at that time that was like and it wasn't just us. Like it went out into the community. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen Darrell Carter Stadium.
Oh man,
packed to the brim since then.
I remember the Greene County game. Didn't they pull in the baseball bleachers like on the track so they would have enough?
Something like that, dude. I don't know. And I remember like you had parents like praying during like I mean it was just insane. Like it was insane, and it was such a high, just such a high to.
I don't remember. I don't know about. I'm going to tell this story anyway. I don't think anybody involved will care. Do you remember the Greene County game our senior year?
Yeah.
And Dylan Vickery on kickoff. Do you know the story I'm going to tell?
Well, was this, so we played them twice, so was this?
This was region championship.
Region? Okay.
This was the big time game.
Okay.
So it was Tommy, Dylan's stepdad, had gotten into it in the stands with like one of the Greene County players' dads.
Yeah.
Do you know the story I'm talking about?
It's ringing a bell,
so
but
we're on kickoff, and I'm like 2 spots behind Dylan, and I hear all this going on in the bleachers behind me, and like they're fussing back and forth, and I don't remember the guy from Greene County's number or whatever. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know,
sure he's
but
a great
like,
human being,
like Tommy yells something at Dylan on the field, and like calls out the kid that he like the kid of the guy he's arguing with, and Dylan looks down the field at this kid, and he does like the across the neck motion, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta like. In my mind, like for that one play, I'm like, I'm watching what's about to happen. Yeah. And Dylan, I don't know if he even knew where the ball was. on that kickoff, and he just obliterates that kid.
Oh,
and steps over him.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is intense. Like,
and like, there's people that will hear that story and think like how childish that is. Like, I'm telling you, like
the rivalry was real.
There was something about that time where like that mattered and it needed to happen.
That Monroe Greene County rivalry was just pure cinema.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I think our senior year, correct me if I'm wrong, going into the region, from the time we were in high school, the series was 3-3. Right? Is that right?
Going into,
so we didn't play them as freshmen.
We didn't play them as
because we were in the Owensboro Catholic District our freshman year. It was like Monroe, Butler, Ocath, Glasgow.
For Greene County, we were
like sophomore, junior, senior year.
Junior,
didn't we go into that game 3-3 in the series?
Maybe
they beat us twice our sophomore year.
Okay, then if that's the case, then yes, we would have been 3-3.
We beat them twice. Junior year, they beat us.
District.
So no, we would have been down. We were down 3-2 in the series. No,
I don't know. We were there. We were either 3-3 or 3-2.
It was tight though.
Yeah, it was very tight. And what use your vivid memory to remind. Like, was the game our district game? Should we have won that game? Or did we just legitimately lose that game?
I don't. Looking back on it, I don't know how much we really showed of our offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we had the playoffs coming up, and I don't feel like we just busted out the entire playbook. And I mean, if I'm incorrect in that, I may be.
Right.
I don't feel like we just.
Had we broke out the rusty cat?
Well, we did against Glasgow.
Yeah.
I know we were saving that for later on, and then Glasgow gave us a little more of a scare than we wanted them to, and we pulled it out in the second half against Glasgow. Okay. And just, I mean, it's like once Neil started taking the snaps back there, and it was just all downhill. I remember the Greene County game. I don't know if you remember this. The week before, I'd broken my hand.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I remember this.
Well, no one knew my hand was broke. I didn't tell my dad that my hand hurt, like, until after the Greene County game. And we went to your dad's, and he x-rayed it, and he's like, "Yeah, your hand's broke."
Shout out Dr. Tony.
Shout out in many different ways. Dr. Tony's awesome. He's been there for my family so much. But, like, something had happened in practice the week before, and I mean, my hand was broken. Mm-hmm. I went through practice that whole next week. I didn't tell anybody. I'd hide it from my dad, whatever. I was like, I don't want him to tell me I can't play. Mm-hmm. So we go into that game, and I think maybe third or fourth quarter I got pulled from the game. Mm-hmm. And I think Chad Wilson subbed in for me at linebacker. Other than that, I don't know. I have a lot. That's probably the one game I remember the least about. I was so frustrated. I'm like, I'm dealing with it. It's my senior year. That was senior night. I'm getting pulled out of senior night because my hand hurts. Next week I went and got a cast, and we're all good. I played with the club through the playoffs.
What week was it when we played Metcalf?
That was our first district game that year, I think. Was Metcalf after the Franklin Simpson loss, or was it before?
Yeah, it was
after that. So yeah, I remember if you remember, we didn't practice in pads a lot that week. The weather was pretty bad. Yeah. And, like, I don't remember if it was the Sporting Times magazine or what it was. Some website or something had released, like, a score prediction for the game. We were favored by, like, 60. And then halftime at Metcalf County, I think we're up 7-6.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, man.
Yes. And I remember, like, because that's when I kicked somebody.
Yeah, I've got a lot of good friends from Metcalf that were on that team. Like, I give them a hard time about that.
And, G-Mac, I don't know why, but, like, I mean, I guess he just knew I felt bad about it, but he was like, "You needed to do that. We needed
some kind of spark."
Thanks, man. But, yeah, no, it was one of the scariest times. I think I talked about that last episode. But I
remember the defense played really well that game. We only gave up 6 points.
Yeah.
But for some, I remember, did Neil?
Our offense could not.
Did Neil not have? Sorry, Neil, for calling you. I don't think he had a receiving guard that game.
No, there's no team.
Remember, they told Kyle Hawley, like, you're going to follow him to the bathroom if he goes to the bathroom. I remember the play. Kyle Hawley had, like, gotten a deflection in the game, and he did you remember the motion? Do you remember that? And like
That might have been around
man, the thing about Megcalf, shout out to Megcalf, they have such a weight room culture up there. They were strong, so strong every year. And I went to college, and a lot of my best friends in life are from Megcalf. Yeah. David Beecham, Eddie Clone, like I still talk to them to this day. Like just some of my closest friends. Like we went to Lindsay and we'd go lift weights. So it's like they're all super strong, just incredibly strong. So I mean, it's no doubt to me that they gave us that tough of a game because we were well conditioned.
Oh, yeah,
and we had numbers. For a small school, we had crazy numbers, and we were. I don't remember ever being tired in a game.
No.
But now we weren't known for being just crazy. We had that handful of guys. Like I remember Clint Jenkins being.
Yeah, he watched him
like unreal.
Bench 300 or 315 or something.
Didn't he win like the state weightlifting competition or something? I remember Ethan Brown would. Yeah. I don't know that Ethan touched a weight between season, and he would, he would just come in and like just throw up 315 like it was nothing. And then Troy, like I remember when we were in 8th grade and we started going to high school football lifting, he just fell in love with it. Yes. It was just as all he wanted to do.
He had that. So I think,
man, we had some dogs.
We did have dogs. We did. And I miss it. I do. I miss having that connection.
Is Neil going to do the podcast?
I'm trying. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm trying. I want him to.
Let me clear the air before Neil gets on the podcast. He's going to tell a story.
Okay.
That in practice, me and him would go one-on-one. I would play corner and he'd play receiver. Yeah. When we would scrim, I'd be on the scout team. Neil's on the first team offense, and he's going to tell the story that I was dirty. And I would do this, and no, Neil was dirty. Okay. Neil was secretively dirty.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't
make him tell the story about the block in the back, the blatant block in the back, and Coach Murphy's like 5 feet from us.
I'm gonna make a note of that. I think it would be. So I need to start. I'm gonna start doing. Obviously, that's all I got the couch here, but like I want to start doing more than one guest at a time. And I think it'd be cool if I had Neil and Chad both on at the same time.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
What about Lincoln and Jackson?
That'd be interesting, especially the little coaching rivalry they got on now. Lincoln was one of my assistants my first year it was my first year as a head coach at the middle school. Yeah. Lincoln was one of my assistants, and we grew up with Jackson, and I'd never really been around Lincoln other than when he was a small kid. But man, that's a great coach in the making. He was like. He'd primarily deal with the offense for me, and like mid-game, he would just see so many things like that I wasn't noticed. Of course, my mind's like on this and that, and I would have troubles, but like the things he would pick up on, like just so impressive. Yeah. And then he moved up to the high school and left me the next year. So that's one of the downsides about coaching middle school is like you get these really good assistant coaches, and they get noticed and pulled up. So it's like I feel like I'm constantly like searching for people.
So what's not to wrap up coaching and talking about coaching until you're ready to, but what for you, what's next? Like, are you just going to ride that? Are you, and maybe you don't want to say, and that's understandable too, but like what do you feel like is next? Are you just going to ride this out and stay with it as long as you can? Or I'll
tell you that something as far as like life aspirations, that's something I struggle with a lot, honestly. Like I know I'm 33 years old, and like sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I have like these, I have all these dreams. I get like the term, I guess, I can be a little grandiose sometimes. And
dude, it's not grandiose to dream big.
Well, like, I don't know. It's if you go back, if you start at like 17 to 19 years old, I've got all these things that I started, and I never really saw them through. Like, I know you remember like my MMA phase.
Yes.
Like, man, I never really thought like I'm going to the UFC. Mm-hmm. But like I had aspirations of turning pro. Of course, then I had like the shoulder injury and stuff. Mm-hmm. At 19, I started playing guitar. And I'm like, for a long time, I'm like, man, I want to be in a band.
Yes.
And I never saw that through. It's just like so many things. But like, and still, I've got all these interests and all these things I want to do. Don't really, I'm just kind of going with the flow. I don't know. I think about it sometimes. I think I would love to coach like at a higher level. I would love to eventually lead a high school team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that starts.
I don't know what that route. That's a tough thing when you're. Of course, my only football coaching experience is at the middle school level, and that makes it tough.
Yeah. But see, you were talking about earlier about how you kind of have to be a jack of all trades, and to me, it seems like that would be difficult in and of itself. But if you were picked up to coach a high school team, or like as the coaching staff on a high school team, then you are much more focused on like you have a much more generalized like area that you focus on. So I feel like that might alleviate some of the stressors.
I'll tell you something that has been surprising to me from my coaching experience. Of course, like I played defense all through high school, like primarily linebacker. I mean, like, freshman JV, I played some receiver and got the ball a little bit, but it's mostly I was a defense-oriented player. I feel like I'm a much better offensive coach.
Yeah.
I don't.
Despite playing defense.
Yeah, it's odd. I think I contribute a lot of it to, like, when I coach the offense and I call an offense, I've got a plan in mind. I know what hurt me. As a defender, I know what caused me problems. For sure. So it's like I know, like, middle school a lot you run into mostly like cover 3, like 4-4 defensive scheme now. So like we've played Warren East and they ran a 35, but I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But like I know a lot about like what caused me problems, especially at the linebacking position and just defense as a whole. And I try to put defenses in compromising positions, and I have so much more fun calling offense. It just seems more natural to me, even though I played defense primarily. And when I find myself working with youth like linebackers and like positions that I played, maybe I'm not as fair to them because I played that position. I'm like, especially at that age group, I'm like, why are you not seeing it? Like, why are you not seeing it? Like, I just saw things when I played. I wasn't extraordinarily athletic when I played in high school, but I was very prideful, like in terms of my intelligence. I feel like I knew I was undersized. I wasn't just gifted athletically. I mean, I feel like I was athletic enough to get the job done, but I wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is you had an intelligence, you had an awareness, the physicality that
what I feel like I was good at was being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
I knew where to be. Absolutely. So I'm like, I know where I am athletically and physically. So I've got to lean on my intelligence. Yeah. So I just was really prideful in like knowing the game, and I think that's transitioned to coaching well for me. And there's still like, I know it's just middle school, but there's still games on the drive home. I'm like, man, what was I thinking right there? Like,
you're
what?
Second guessing yourself.
You don't realize. And I mean, I'm sure at the high school level it just amplifies, but like you don't realize as a spectator or even as a player, like how difficult it is to make those on the spot calls.
I mean, I can tell you just through life experience. I mean, not as a coach, I haven't coached, but what you're saying, like, this goes for a lot of things. Until you're in that position, you don't know what it's like.
No, you don't.
And it's like you talked about, Lincoln. What was good about Lincoln was he could see things that you didn't, and like when you're in that role, there's things that because you're in that role, you're aware of that others are not. And that goes across the board for different professions and parenting, whatever.
I feel like I've been blessed in having a lot of great assistant coaches to work with since I've been, and I mean, as an assistant, I was blessed to work under a lot of really good head coaches and gain experience from that. Yeah. But it's like, And I feel like we overcomplicate things. I've got a really bad habit of overcomplicating things. And I taught Neil will watch a lot of our game film and like give me his input on it. Neil will get in my ear like he's like, man, you're trying to complicate it too much. I just take the middle.
Just do this.
So many times at the middle school level, like teams will just give you the middle of the field. And it's like, hey,
just take it.
Take it. Take what's there.
It's almost like, no, that's too simple.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, okay, so take it.
Yep.
But we're not wired to, for some reason, think that way. But yeah, so for you, like, I'm not asking if you're going to coach high school. I'm curious about the path in and of itself.
Yeah.
To coach high school football, do you have to be asked or apply if there's a position, or like can you just let somebody know, hey, I'd like to, and if they have room for you, they can bring you on?
I mean, yeah, there's conversations you can have with head coaches, especially if you have a relationship with that person. Just like, I mean, if you need somebody, I'm open. But no, I mean, typically when a head coaching position becomes vacant, I believe the process, like the job opens, just like a teaching job would open.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to be interviewed by like the principal, probably athletic director, site base, votes on it, that kind of thing. I think I would love to coach at that level at some point in my career. Now, at what point in my career that happens, I don't know. And it may never happen, and that's okay too. But, yeah, that's something I'm open to.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, there's just so many things. Like I'm working on my, I'll be finished with my principal certification here in like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. That's something else I'm looking into. I don't know how that's going to play out. Like I said, I'm just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah.
We talked about I'm working on my book right now. That's something that's an avenue I've always like in the back of my mind wanted to pursue, to be a published author.
So share a little bit about, like, you talked about, and Janice Pidcock was very pivotal in getting you established as like or at least establishing your appreciation for it. When it comes to writing, is it just like an enjoyment, a sense of enjoyment that you get?
Oh yeah, I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people hate it, but I love to sit down and write and express thoughts. I love to read. I don't have as much time to read now with like coaching and school, and I'm taking my own classes. But now, like, of course, like especially in the summer, I get back to. I'm a big Stephen King fan. I like reading anything he puts out. But like, no, I don't want to just shout out Janice Pidcock. I had a lot of great English teachers along the way. Joni Turner, I work with her now. I love Miss Turner. I work with her now. I keep calling her Miss Turner, but Joni, she was actually, I think, the first person to read my novel when I finished it.
Yes.
Give me her input, and she's been very supportive. Yes. Jason Dodson was so influential to me. I still reach out to him anytime I've got a question. He's such a great teacher, great person.
I wonder if he would.
I'll tell you what, I don't know that he knows I have a published, or it's not published. I don't know that he knows I have a finished novel. Yeah. I'm so nervous to ask him to read it.
He'll just read it and just shred it like is it Gordon Ramsay, the chef?
Yeah.
Your Ramsay yearbook or what?
I don't know, a little bit of me is like, am I worthy of his time?
So how long, like chapter-wise, is your book, and then how long did it take you to write it, do you think?
So right now, what I have sitting right now, I've got around about 80,000 words, 32 chapters, I think. Honestly, the process, I started writing the book around COVID.
Okay.
So it's back when COVID started, the lockdown all happened. I had always had these like aspirations of writing a book in the back of my mind. I could always make excuses. I never had the time, just whatever. But COVID happened. I'm like, I got all this time on my hands. So I just sat down and, I started typing. Yeah. And I had this story in mind that I wanted to tell, or at least a premise for the story. So long story short, I started writing the book in 2020 around COVID. And the book, I finished the rough draft around 2021, or maybe the end of 2020. So I finished the rough draft. I got some beta readers, like I said, Miss Turner, Joni. Was one of my beta readers, and I'd get their input, and I would go back and make edits. And when I felt I had a pretty polished copy, I started, I was really prideful at the time. I was really bent and determined on going the traditional publishing route. I'm like, I know some authors that self-publish. Like, I mean, self-publishing's so accessible now in 2025. And no knock against any people that do that, and I'm about to do it myself. At the time, I was naive, and I'm like, I felt like a failure if I had to self-publish my novel. I'm like, I just really want to go the traditional publishing route and feel like I've created something like noteworthy. So for a couple years, at the time, I didn't know anything about the process of publishing a novel. I had no idea. I'd written this book. I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. Yeah. So I started researching, like, how do you go about publishing a novel? How do you reach out to these publishing companies? So I started, you would write, I think it's called a query letter. You would reach out to literary agents. You wouldn't actually directly reach out to a publishing company. You'd try to get an agent to sign you as an author and take interest in your book. So I started reaching out to all these agents and just rejection letter after rejection letter after rejection letter. And now we find ourselves in 2025. I'm like, I've come to terms with where I'm at. And I think I'm finished with the process of going through that. I'm just going to self-publish the book. Yeah. And I'm more comfortable. 5 years ago, I wasn't as comfortable with that. But now I'm, it is what it is.
So I know this isn't the right way to ask this, but I'm going to ask this question the way most people are going to ask this. What kind of book is it?
That is, I'm not very skillful at summarizing my own book.
So is
it's
it
such
fictional?
It is fiction. It's a novel. It is not based on. It's not based on anything. Like, It's not based on a true story or anything like that. There are aspects from people in my life that contributed to some of the characters, but I wouldn't say like a character is based on anyone that I know solely. If you want your book to feel, I feel like if you want it to feel authentic and genuine, you're going to have to pull from your life experiences. Right. It's like, obviously my protagonist, it's written in first person. Obviously, like my protagonist, I can't write from like the perspective of like an astronaut. I don't know anything about that. I feel like if I write that, then you're gonna like this is fake. It's not genuine. So no, my narrator is a English professor at a made up university. Okay. It's I would categorize my novel as a suspense thriller, maybe a little bit. That I've had such a struggle like categorizing it and summarizing it and telling people what it's about.
So, would you say that like your like the characters, other characters, are taken from people in your life too?
The aspects of just various people. So, like maybe I'll try to give you a little synopsis of the story. So it deals with you've got your protagonist. He's in his early 30s, late 20s. I can't exactly remember, but it's written in a form where it rotates between present day and flashbacks. And the flashbacks try to show you like a glimpse into what shaped him into the person he is and what shaped the situation he's in. Without giving away too much, the narrator was in a small friend group, a very tight-knit friend group, much like we were in high school. And so they had their wild experiences throughout like middle school and high school, and they lived together in college. And it touches on things like mental health and addiction and substance abuse. Of course, I had a little history working in mental health.
Yes.
Before I started teaching, so I drew a lot from that, like people I worked with. So they graduate. One of the first flashback scenes is they graduate. They're graduating from college, and they make this pact, like we're not going to come back to this hometown and fall back into these old ways and into, you've got three guys, they're all very intelligent, they're very successful in the classroom, they have so much potential, and they make this pact with each other, like no matter what we do, we're not going to come back and fall back into this, we're going to reach our full potential. Right. So then you fast forward, and he's the main character is Jonathan Downing, Professor Downing. I think the name, it's at Cardinal Valley University, some made-up school in Lexington, Kentucky. And he's closing out the semester. He just dismisses his last class for the summer, and he gets a phone call from one of his other friends in the friend group I'm telling you about. And it like floors him because he hasn't heard from him in 10 years. And long story short, the third friend in the group, you've got Jonathan Downing, Marshall Tate, and Chris Rose. He's like, hey man, I had a funeral back home. I had to go back to our hometown, and I ran across Chris, and he's not doing good.
Yeah.
Like he's been living back home for X amount of years, and he's like gotten in with this, like there's a family in the group called the McGrady brothers. They're like kind of like a drug run-in family. Everybody knows what they do.
Farmers.
Yeah. And so they've like got their claws in him, and they try to stage this intervention. And so they go back with from the main character. He's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to deal with it. You know, he's a grown man. He's his own person. He talks them into going back. So they stage this intervention, and it goes like just so badly that it turns into like this kidnapping.
Oh my gosh!
They take him
left field.
So they have a confrontation with the McGrady family. They end up kidnapping Chris, and they take him to his family's lake house, and they're like, we're gonna force you like into detox until you're better. Okay. And I'll kind of stop it there. I'm not gonna give too much away.
You know what they need to do is like they need to go toilet paper an entire neighborhood, because I hear that's like super fun and therapeutic, but I wouldn't know from experience or anything, but you probably tick off a bunch of people by doing it.
No, we never did anything.
But
like that
ever. But yeah, dude, that sounds awesome, and I definitely like. I would like a copy of it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I will absolutely read it.
I'm shooting for the stars here. The plan is, of course, I'm going through like Amazon, Kindle, direct publishing. I've rewritten some of these chapters like 50 times, but I'm going through what is supposed to be my final round of edits. And AI is such a beautiful thing. When I started writing the book, ChatGPT wasn't like, it might have existed, I'm not sure, but it wasn't as popularized as it is now. So like that was one of the struggles I found early on. It was like, you need an editor. And I could, at the time, like, man, I couldn't afford someone to edit. Like the editor process I'm not going to say they're crazy. They're probably very well deserving of the money they do for what they do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I couldn't afford it at the time. Like, I don't have the money to pay you to read my book and tell me a comma goes here. But now, I'm a premium ChatGPT subscriber.
Oh, gosh.
So right now what I'm in the process of doing is I'm copying and pasting chunks of my book, and ChatGPT will read the full PDF file, and it goes through. So you need a comment, and you have the freedom to ask it to do whatever you want. I can ask it, like, are there plot holes in my novel? It will read it and give me subjective opinions, but what I've got it doing right now is like, I just want objective point blank mistakes, like grammatical errors, and that saved me so much time.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show, because like I when you talk about that, I don't hear you saying it's doing your job for you, because and that's kind of what Foot and I was talking about, was like there's people that let it do their job for them, and then they become so dependent on that.
Oh man.
But for me, like even with getting this podcast started, because I just got a website up, which is averagejosephpodcast.us, by the way. But and we have a shop, and I need inspiration for items. But anyway, getting this started, getting that website up, I use Grok. I've used Grok quite a bit, just as far as like if I need to learn how to do something, it teaches me how to do something, and all of this, like the setup, everything's my own. But like I have never ever delved into setting up a website, and my website's not great, but it walked me through setting up a website, and like it's amazing to do that.
I know a lot of people are afraid of AI. Yeah. And when it first started emerging, I was too. But I've fully embraced it. I think it's going to be, I don't think, a lot of people are like, envisioning the Terminator or whatever.
Right.
And maybe that's possible, but
Right.
I just think it's such a helpful tool. And I just look at it like, man, the Industrial Revolution, I bet there were a lot of like farmhands that were concerned, like, I'm never going to work again.
Oh, yeah.
But
like John Henry,
yeah.
dude.
I just view it kind of like another, just on steroids. So, like, how do you feel about Grok? I'm a Chat GPT guy myself.
I like Grok. I mean, I don't know. So I've always been different. So like I like to do things my own way for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Most people use Chat GPT. I just use Grok because I was on Twitter and I just tried it out and I was like, cool, I'll just stick with this. I like it a lot, but
I like Elon Musk a lot. Of
I
course,
do
I'm
too.
a big Rogan fan. I watch the Joe Rogan podcast. I love Theo Vaughn. Like Tom Segura, I'm a podcast head.
Oh.
Like, I don't listen to music anymore.
I don't either.
That's one thing. Like,
When I'm
I
running,
was talking to Michaela the other day, or it might have not been the other day. I'm like, I'm getting old. Like, I used to couldn't get in the vehicle and drive anywhere without blaring some kind of music and just singing poorly
yes.
the whole day. But now I just want to listen to podcasts.
Oh, let me tell you something scary about AI though. And I'm not an AI I'm not anti-AI at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a huge fan of this individual either, but you can look it up on YouTube. But do you know the streamer Destiny? I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I don't know if
he's
yeah.
He's like I don't know if he's definitely not conservative, but like he what was he looking into? I don't remember how it started, but essentially he stumbled upon this person's like YouTube social commentary thing and was commenting on it, and then at some point a document got shared into his like social chat on either on stream or off stream, but it was still in the social chat. But it was sent, they figured out it was sent by a chat bot that had created its own like email, had and named its email like for Destiny at blah 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 blah, and it had generated this fake, because he was saying, that's what it was, he was saying this guy doesn't seem real. He was looking at these people, these bots on Twitter or X, and he was like, these guys are not real. Somehow this bot had been tracking him doing that and had generated this document and everything to try to convince him that these people were real when they really were not. Like it is creepy. It made my skin crawl when I saw it. But now that's few and far.
Oh, have you read the article on the AI bot that blackmailed some of the employees at the company?
No.
So I can't remember which company it was, but they had this AI software, and they were going to shut it down because they're updating the software. So it's like, I mean, imagine like Chat GPT 3.0. They're going to release Chat GPT like 4.1 or something. So they told this AI bot, like, all right, we're going to shut you down. We've got an updated form. And it like started generating emails to employees' wives, like your husband's having an affair on you at work, like to like preserve itself. Yeah. And I read that article. They talked about it on Rogan, and they talked about it on Theo Vaughn. I'm like, I don't know how real it is, but I mean that makes your skin crawl a little bit. It does
make your skin crawl, but you know,
as long as they don't like insert it into humanoid robots, I feel like we're pretty safe.
That and also these things are meant to learn from but it's
only gonna do what you let it.
It just observes. So it's very possible, in my opinion, like maybe it has observed enough human behavior to see, okay, when people are being replaced, they might engage in this sabotaging type behavior. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do, kind of thing. Yeah. Like it's more of a loosely learned thing versus a conscious choice. But conscious, and that's I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole right now.
I'm pretty optimistic with it, but no.
So, how good you feel right now? Are you tired or are you?
Oh, I'm good to go.
You good? Let's take a
Having a
pause.
blast. Yeah, I'm good
right.
with that. Man, how nice is it to sit down and have a conversation and be unplugged? I know we're plugged in, we don't have phones in our face.
Yes, man, it's nice.
I feel like I'm just so plugged in all the time. You lose that like face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
Like, man, you go out to eat anymore. Michaela is so bad about it. We go out to eat, she's on her phone like the whole time.
Hey, I'm gonna let her address that instead of me.
Oh, I give her a hard time about it, but it's all love.
So let's.
I do want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
I want to draw attention to the fact that I had to flush out the Greene County aura from the room with some Falcon gear.
Dude, I was not. I was well. He Foot did wear a WKU top, not a Greene County. So I appreciated that. You know,
man, I'm just kidding though. Like for real, I'm so proud of him and everything he's doing. Like he's.
Oh, I think we're all
so proud of him.
Such a good group of kids, man, and we've done. None of us have done bad.
Of course, I'm proud of everybody in our friend group. Like Jordan, he's killing it right now. Man, the Greene County High School is one of the top performing schools in the state.
I know.
So shout out to him for that.
He's got a good work ethic too.
I mean, he could have done it somewhere else, but
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Oh, for sure.
So speaking of mysterious, all right, are you good to tackle just some out there topics?
Oh man, I'm good for anything.
Okay, all right. Well, let's break it in easy first. All right, let's talk about we just talked about AI. Show us your glasses.
Oh, okay. So I got the Meta glasses. Like there's some aspects of like technology that I struggle with. Like, I mean, some things as simple as like Google Chat on my phone, but like as far as tech gadgets, I love them, man. I love any kind of like new tech gadgets. So I had to cop the Meta glasses.
Nice, man. They look good. I mean, they're thick, but they look good.
Yeah. And you can get the regular glasses with no prescription lenses or whatever, or you can go to Lens Crafters and they'll put your prescription lenses in. I've got a really weak prescription. It's primarily for astigmatism. Or you can get sunglasses. So like I've actually got the transition lenses. So when I go outside, they turn into sunglasses.
Nice.
And initially I was like, I think I'm just going to get the sunglasses because I might look kind of dorky in these. But the more I played with them, like, nah, I'm going to wear these around the house. Like, there's so many things you can do with them. I'll tell you, one of the coolest things I did, maybe not the coolest, but I thought I had fun with it. So I coach middle school football. And in practice, a lot of the times I work with my quarterbacks. And, like, it's just hard to convey messages to your youth quarterbacks as far as like check downs and reading through their progressions like on pass plays. So my 8th grade quarterback, I let him wear my Meta glasses one practice, and he was he's plugged in recording all his plays. So then he and I sat down later. I'm like, I could go through what he was seeing through his point of view, and I'm like, hey, you might have missed this guy here, or like, what were you thinking here? And I can see what he's looking at.
Yes.
So that was awesome.
Yes.
And I'm sure like NFL and college coaches are doing some kind of more sophisticated version of that, but it was
absolutely. But having that perspective, and I remember even when the NFL, which it's not that is better than
try them out.
Yeah. Let me try these bad boys. So is there like a heads-up display?
They're well, I mean, you just see everything normally. I know
You are blind. I'm blind.
But so they're like connected to my phone.
Okay.
And to activate the AI, you just say, "Hey Meta," and then you can ask it a question. You can ask it to do something. Ask it to play a song.
Hey Meta, play Master of Puppets.
See, like, are you hearing it pretty well?
Yeah.
See, I can't hear you.
You can't hear
No,
this?
I can't hear that. No, I can. You can obviously turn it up, and people around you can hear it. But you're talking like deafening volumes for other people.
I can barely hear you right now. Dude.
Oh, really?
No,
Yeah.
no, I like this because if nobody, oh my goodness, I need to get these because if I have a client that's
man.
just like,
Dude,
I love all my clients. I love them all. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Man, they're I mean, I guess they're a little pricey. I think I got these on like a Father's Day sale for maybe $260. I don't know what the normal price is. It's probably around 300.
Well, I mean, Black Friday. So Cyber Monday will be a week from this.
Man, when you hear 260 for glasses, like that's crazy. If you buy like a pair of regular Ray-Bans, you're spending $200.
Oh yeah, easy.
And for another 60 to $100, you got an AI assistant all the time. Of course, I've got like the Apple Watch. I'm so like connected.
Savvy. All right, so let's dive in, and I'll take the heat as far as like this conversation really gets out there, because I have I have some. You talk about having grandiose thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these are necessarily grandiose, but I do think these thoughts are like outside the norm of what people typically think about. But so you had shared the video, or maybe I did. I can't remember. But where Tim Burchett was talking about the UFOs, UAPs, and like I wouldn't even say research it, but just listening. This is one of the things that I enjoy about podcasts, because they explore these types of topics, and just hearing the different things. Like, and I don't think people, maybe they do, but I don't think they do. I don't think they realize the significance of having government, like representatives, officials in government, the military, all acknowledging that these things exist.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
how crazy is it that these discussions are, man, they're on the Senate floor.
They're on the Senate floor.
And it's like it's being brushed over.
It's not a Will Smith movie.
Yeah,
you know, like this is a thing.
As a kid, you picture like this news being released and like just pandemonium everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, nobody cares.
Nobody cares, but I think, you know,
we've been desensitized so
we've been
much.
Desensitized, but there is just a lot that's going on in the world that I think, until it actually becomes a problem that you have to pay attention to.
Are you following 3-Eye Atlas?
Yeah, I am.
I'm
you know, I'm trying to be. I'm keeping myself skeptical, but but also open. You know. Yeah. But here's what I think, because I'm a Christian, okay, and my faith does not limit me to like believing that in all of this universe that we're it. You know, now what it means that we're created in God's image and all these things, like, I'm not saying that's not true. I believe that. But I don't for a second believe that we are the only things in this whole, because you're talking about there is light that started from the beginning of the universe that hasn't got here yet.
Oh yeah, it's just so many.
It's huge.
It's something they're thoughts I struggle with a lot, and it like conflicting thoughts, and I'm like, to be honest, I don't know what I believe in terms of the like what these things are, but I think it's very apparent that they exist, whatever they are. I mean,
whatever they are. And I think too, so let me throw this at you, okay? Now that I don't know whether, when it comes to like the spiritual stuff, like say like angels and demons and stuff, if they possess physical bodies like we do, or if they're kind of like immaterial. But God's a creator. Satan wants to be God, but only God can generate like from nothing. Satan can't do that, but he can take what is and warp it into what he. I mean, that's essentially what he did. So, but like, let's say he has a physical body.
Yeah.
And let's say he's here. Now, maybe he can't produce these angelic things that God can, but if he's tangible and he can take the tangible stuff that we have, and he's smart because he's obviously not an idiot, could he not then produce systems, technologies, things like that to deceive us into believing?
And just test the faith.
Just to test the faith. Yeah. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's just so many aspects of it. Like, I'm constantly reading, like my TikTok algorithm if that were to be like public knowledge, people would think I was crazy.
Yeah. But Tim Burchett talks about in the book of Ezekiel that he talks about this thing and he describes it as a craft. But I think, well, what if it's not a craft? Like, what if that is the legitimate like spiritual thing?
Yeah.
But then these things are created to mimic that.
Oh, like the spinning wheel.
Yes.
Like a lot of these things that people are seeing or reporting that they're seeing mimics so many things that you see like recorded in like the Old Testament. I'm a Christian, man of faith, but I am not as well versed in the literature of the Bible. Like, I mean, I can't just sit here and like quote like scripture on scripture on scripture, but I know what I believe. Yeah. And I know what I aspire to be, but I'm familiar with some of these things, and it's like there's so many mirrors. And it's like, what is this that we're seeing? It's, and I mean, I'll tell you what, like some of these things that they're seeing, like in the ocean, like if that's if another government's achieved that technology, like we've got to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I think so.
Like some of these like underwater crafts that I don't know, I can't quote it, but they're like all these, like they're traveling at these outrageous knots,
outrageous speeds. And
you've got multiple pilots that are like, we've seen these things like go into the water and they're performing in ways that defy physics, like in ways that defy anything that we have. Like we have nothing with those capabilities. It's what? Like, why are we not
talking about it?
Yeah.
And we got it like it's literally like, hey guys, like this is here, like, and people just don't care. But I think some of that's desensitization. I think that some of that's conditioning. I have some theories. I told you one, like if there's a spiritual element to it. I think another could be like if there was a civilization offshoot that achieved a technology.
Yeah.
Or if it's not that, then it's something interstellar. Or
you read any on the theories like that whatever it is has like always been here. Like, I know one thing, like, and I don't know how official this is or how accurate it is, but I know, like, I've read some things, like, all these sightings, like, no one's seen them, like, leave the atmosphere. Yeah. More of the sightings or most of the sightings are, like, they're going into the water. So it's, like, it may not necessarily be extraterrestrial. Maybe it's, like.
You ever watch the Y-Files on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, dude. He does such a great job. One, what I appreciate about AJ is how he will tell it as if it's true or as it's understood, and then he'll start to debunk. But there's certain things like he just cannot debunk. Like there's certain things about the moon that are just absolutely crazy. I 100% believe we went to the moon. I 100% believe that. Like I'm not we didn't go to the moon conspirator or anything like that. I believe we went, but I do think that there's some crazy. No, crazy is not the right word. I think there's some unique factors that people don't consider.
Oh yeah,
when it comes to the moon and theories about its formation and stuff. And we learn, in school that what theories are, that some theories are more solid than others. And so when people have like the theory of how the moon formed, we typically take it as, okay, this most likely happened. But it's like some things with the moon, like they're that old school, this is just a theory type thing. We really don't know.
Oh yeah. I think that's one of the big things with, like, you think back on COVID and like just science in general, there's so many times people refuse to admit how little we know.
Yes.
It's like, especially during COVID, like, I think people would have retained so much trust in the government had they just been upfront, like, hey, we don't really know what this is. We don't know how to treat it. We don't know how to stop it. There's, and I'm not gonna dive into conspiracies, but like, it
shouldn't have been politicized. It should have, like, health should not be a political issue. But then and both sides are guilty of this. It become a political issue, and it shouldn't have been politicized.
Oh, and I believe it was like maybe a COVID-related like package on the Senate floor that contained all these UFO files being divulged and opened up to the public, and it was just kind of like brushed over in that big like 1,000-page bill. Like, oh, by the way, we're going to release all these documents that the U.S. has on UFOs from like the 1920s, and then it's just crazy how they like.
Well, like that group that Tim Burchett's a part of, that, and I believe him. And maybe I'm wrong for doing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But like, I believe him. You know, he's talked about seeing photos. He's talked about seeing documentation videos, things that we haven't seen. Like things, if we think what we've seen as the public blows our mind. Like, so like I want to see that, and he wants us to see that. So like, why can't we see that? Oh yeah,
just so many. There's so many factors related to government that like cause mistrust.
Yes.
In the public, in this age that we're in with podcasts and social media and all these communication avenues, it's like you're not going to pull the wool over everybody's eyes anymore like you could in the 20s and 30s, 40s, 60s.
No.
Did you follow the New Jersey? Like UFOs?
Yeah, and then it was just like, oh well, they're just drones. They have FFA, they have FAA lighting, so we're not worried about it.
If you talk to anyone I work with, I probably drove them crazy during that little span. I was obsessed with it. I followed it every day.
What about that dude that blew himself up in the Tesla truck?
Yes,
in the Cybertruck?
And
he was like,
we just stopped talking about that
because he said, what was it? He said. That they were like Chinese.
Yeah. Well, he talked about these entities that had infiltrated the government, and like some of the stuff he had in his little manifesto were probably kooky, but no, some of it probably carried some weight.
Well, the thing of it is,
that dude was dealing with some heavy mental health issues too.
Absolutely, but that's what makes it tough, because if you are, let's say there is this type of stuff and it's legitimate, and you're privy to it, but you are like such a small grain of sand in the so that what your knowledge, you might be accurate, you might be right, but what you're going to be saying is so different from the general population. People think you're crazy.
And I'll tell you, like, did you follow the Bob Lazar stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
There's just blatant evidence the government tried to like erase his identity.
What
university was it that he?
It was important Stanford.
Was it Stanford?
I think it was Stanford Institute of Technology or something like that.
I don't want to like misquote, but it was a pretty prestigious university.
Yeah, dude built a jet engine and put it on his car.
So like he comes out and starts releasing all these secrets from when he worked at Area 51, and suddenly the government's like, no, you didn't exist. But you can go in the library. I watched this on Joe Rogan. You can go in the library and find like articles that he published in the school newspaper. So that's objective. It's not debatable. He was there. They attempted to erase that he was there,
and his stories never changed.
No, it's he's got a good Netflix documentary. Of course, he had a good episode on the Rogan podcast.
That was one of the first ones, because people talked about watching Joe Rogan, and it kind of sounded kooky to me. But then I watched that, and I never went back.
I got into Rogan, the podcast anyway. Michaela and I we'd driven out to Nevada to visit with our grandmother in 2017, 18 neighborhood. And that's a long drive. So I started listening to the Rogan podcast. I listened to that for just days on end while we were out there and on the way out there. And that's what got me that was one of the first episodes I really dove into, I think. I listened to a lot of his MMA episodes too, but just episodes in general. But that was like kind of what got me to questioning this stuff.
Was it George Knapp? Was George Knapp there with him too? The journalist guy?
Yeah.
And he was like I don't know if he was very prestigious at the time, but he was like well on his way into like being a very prestigious journalist.
Lazard had that Netflix documentary that had been on Netflix for like quite a while, I think. But it didn't get a lot of publicity until he went on Rogan. He's like, I got this documentary. Like, everything's laid out for you to watch. And then the next week I got on, and that was like top 10 on Netflix.
Yeah.
And now you got people like talking about it, and but then you all like it at the same time. It feels like it's getting all this publicity and all this dialogue started. It also feels like it's not getting the dialogue it deserves.
It's almost like if I was to put myself in the position of, let's say, overlord of the earth, and I was like, okay, I don't want the population to freak out, but they're going to catch on sooner or later. Yeah. You know, you release, you figure out a way to release it in increments and just desensitize and normalize. And to me, that would be like make the most sense as to what.
I'll tell you another theory for the UFOs that I ponder on a little bit. If I was like head of a government or whatever, like if I was a man of influential power and we were developing like this crazy technology that was going to defy anything that you'd ever seen, I would want, and like obviously you have to test it. You gotta see if it works. You gotta fly it somewhere. Somebody's gonna see it. I would want everyone to think it's a UFO.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you to know what I have.
Right.
Because in Russia and China and all these places, you're like, well, they got this. But you just got, I don't know.
Well, it's a
conflicting topic.
Someone said, like, if it was Russia or China or some adversarial, we would know it because they would flaunt it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's crazy stuff. We may never in our lifetime know, but at some point there will be a definitive answer.
There's already been a lot more things happen in that topic that I'm just so floored that we're living to see it happen.
I don't know.
I thought that the release of the files would just be mass pandemonium. You know, like I went to school the next day. It was like business as usual. Nobody
cares.
Everybody's plugged into their own thing.
Do you shift? This is a pretty good gear shift here, but do you listen to Jordan Peterson? Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
I'm familiar with Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems so. People like him, and we'll just say like, I don't want to use the term intellectual too loosely or too broadly, but there's something about his commentary on more so from like maybe the like 6 or so years ago and earlier, where he was definitely when he was a college professor, that I feel like is missing from society today. Like I feel like everyone is just wake up, go to work, come home, eat supper, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
And they think they're living, but they don't realize there's a whole life out there to live. And it's just, I don't know. So one of the interesting things he did was break down the book of Genesis from a psychological perspective. Even if you don't believe that God's real and these stories are true, he talks about like the kind of like the archetypal examples of development, and we're missing so much of it. And I don't know. I could. That's a whole other rabbit hole, and I'm not mentally there to even begin taking that apart. But it's just there's so much I feel like that is just happening, and so much that it's like what's happening we're not paying attention to because we're wasting our time. And I don't know. I feel like even if we didn't pay attention to what's going on right now, if we could still stop wasting our time and make the most of it, and but let's talk about real quick, because I know you've probably got to get back to T-ville.
Oh, man, I'm good right now. I'm having a blast.
What's it like? This is a tough question to ask. What's it like to be it right now? Because it's you and Michaela and the boys. Yeah. What's that like? I mean, the thought of that terrifies me.
Oh, like losing both your parents?
Yes.
It's nothing a pictured I would ever go through it. I mean, I know I'm 33, but like I still feel like I'm young. I'm in an early stage in life. I didn't think it was an avenue I would have to navigate this early in my life, and it like at parts of when that was happening felt like it drug on, and like I was experiencing it for 10 years, and then parts of it's like, wow, it just happened. But I don't know. I could talk about this for ever, but I'll try to touch on it in a condensed form. Of course, you know, like the relationship I have with my dad. Like in a lot of ways, he and I were best friends, more so than father-son relationship. That dynamic really changed when I was 15, 16 years old, and it was just me and him. It's like so much of my life, I feel like, and not just with my dad, but like I lost my grandmother in 2014, and she and I were so close too. I think about her every day. I feel like so much of my life was driven by chasing, what's the word I'm looking for? Like chasing,
the next big thing?
Well, no, like I wanted to make someone proud.
Okay. Approval?
Yeah, like chasing approval, validation, like just like, I don't know, like the majority of my life, like my grandma and my dad were, two of the only people that ever looked at me and said, I'm proud of you. And like I was watching, I don't know if you watch Steve Harvey. I was watching Steve Harvey the other day on a podcast with one of those NFL players that's got a podcast. I don't know his name, but he had like this really like hit home with me. He's like, when your dad dies, you don't realize this, but he was the only man on earth that genuinely wants you to be better than him. Like, I mean, me and you love each other, but like, I don't like, do I want you to be better than me? Like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
That's like you lose your dad, you lose that's the only guy that like looks at you and genuinely wants you to be better than him. And it's like, man, like, it's a tough thought to process. Like I spent so much time just wanting my dad to be proud of like what I did, who I'd become. And like now I'm in that role and I've got 2 sons, it's just tough.
Yeah, because, Jordan Peterson talks about how taking on that mantle of responsibility it's necessary for becoming your full self, your true potential and things like that. And I guess maybe I'm wrong in this, but I just assume most people lose their parents. I mean, you got to think my dad just lost his mother.
Yeah.
And he's in his how old is that? I guess he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
So it's like at 33 you're it, and and I'm not trying to beat you over the head with that.
Oh yeah, I know.
I can't imagine. And so has there been an assumption of responsibility by you? Has it changed how you view your role in the world? Is there an absence there that?
Oh, definitely, man. My dad was, especially my oldest son, Asher. He and my dad were, they were tight. They were best friends. Before the passing of my dad, he was the only person that had ever really babysat my children. McMillian and I were very blessed and very fortunate, lucky that we could go to work, and my dad he would come to our house every morning and watch the kids until we got home from work. So we didn't have to pay for daycare. I didn't have to worry about what they were being exposed to, in the public realm, like other kids and other adults. I knew like my dad's values. He raised me, and so I trusted him with my kids. And once he's gone, like, of course, I've got that like when he's gone, I've got that mourning period. Like I'm mourning for myself and my relationship with my dad. But one of the toughest aspects was like I knew what my son had lost.
You're good, man. Take your time.
So it's like there was a void that I felt tremendous pressure to fill. Mm-hmm. And it's like in a lot of ways, I'm not going to fill that void for him. Another tough thing was like a lot of Asher's life. Or not a lot of his life, but since that's happened. I would notice like he wouldn't, after Dad's passing, he wouldn't talk about my dad around me. He would mention my dad to Michaela a lot and like other members of our family, but it was like I was just blown away but this maturity in my 5-year-old to like, he knew I was hurting,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
He knew. He knew, man.
yeah,
Kids know.
that in a lot of ways that floored me, and you know, I'm proud of him, but like, you feel like guilt presence to him. Like, I don't want to add to your. I don't want you to feel like you got to grow up right now and avoid a topic around me. So that's something I've been really conscientious about, like trying to make him comfortable talking about it around me, so he doesn't feel like he's adding to my plate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's.
Did you ever see GMAC cry?
Less than. I mean, you could count them on my hand.
I mean,
Yeah.
I still remember the first time I seen my dad upset, and not that you know, I think being a man absolutely is like we have to shoulder the burden,
Mm-hmm.
but I think shying away from just the emotion that you're expressing right now, and like I think having the experience that I did witnessing my dad be upset, I don't think that it needs to be that way.
Yeah.
I think we need to. I think for Asher,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay for him to know, or it's okay for him to be upset, and it's okay for him to know that you're upset.
Yeah.
And it's okay, and he needs to be aware that it is okay that you're upset. You know, that it's not a bad thing, and that.
Like, and you think about like my dad's generation, your dad's generation, like they were raised like such a different time, and it was just it's a cultural norm, like for the men in my family, like, man, you don't cry, don't cry. Don't let people see you cry, like, and my dad wasn't calloused in teaching me things like that. He just wanted me to be a man. Mm-hmm. So it's like when I was going through this, I didn't cry in front of my wife or my kids or anything very much. Like I had most of my emotional experiences like in the drive to the hospital and like by myself. I didn't, you know, you don't want to, I don't want to word this poor, like you don't want to look weak.
You don't want to look, you don't want to be perceived as someone who cannot withstand or shoulder the burden.
Yeah.
But I think we've mistaken emotional response to not being able, because one thing I learned in the military, and even there, I don't know how it is now, but even then, you know, 2015 to 2019 on active duty, you didn't cry. One thing I learned that I didn't care if you cried. I just cared about whether or not you could do your job. And if you doing your job meant you did it crying, have at it. Like, I'm not going to look down on you for that. And because crying, and then also just the education I have now, like crying is just an emotional response. It's a physical release to an intense emotion that's going on within you. And so we've done a disservice by misrepresenting misrepresenting what it is to cry or to be emotional. But yeah, and you know, if bringing it up obviously has, you know, that upsets you, and I hope you don't feel like I did it disrespectfully. I just
not at all.
I can't I just can't imagine. But it's that like that's what's real.
Yeah,
that's what's real, and that's bringing up Jordan Peterson. That's what it's like. That's what's real. Whether it's all this stuff that we don't pay attention to, like the UAPs and stuff. Like that's what's real. Everything else is just we wake up, go to work, come home, rinse and repeat. And there's no real living.
I feel like another important thing I realized throughout all that is like just how like everyone experiences loss in a different way, and everyone copes with it differently. Yes. Like I cope with it in a vastly different way than I feel like a lot of people view it. As a society, I feel like people have this perception of like, you should grieve this way, you should cry this long, you should do this. And like when that happened, like my grandma and my dad, my mom passed away, I like deactivated Facebook, and it wasn't to shut people out. It's just like I just want like me, like I when I cope with things or I deal with things emotionally, I want me time. I want to, you know, deal with my stuff. So like, and I feel like I probably had friends like, man, he's shutting us out. Like, what's he like? Or maybe they're not even that, just concerned, like he's isolating himself. But that's how I process things. And like, I'll come back to you when I need you. Mm-hmm. Like it, and that sounds, callous,
it
but
sounds like it, yeah. But I know what you mean when you're saying that.
I feel like no one really understands how I process things other than like you and Jordan and it, like just my close. Like y'all knew I wasn't like shutting you out. You just know, well, that's how T-Mac deals with stuff.
If you were like cussing us out and telling us to go screw ourselves, that'd be different. But
and, a lot of it was like one of the toughest things for me. It was like, I know people had like great intentions behind it. Like if I'm grocery shopping around that time, people, oh man, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. In my mind, and it sounds rude, and I don't mean it to be rude, but I'm like, man, I just went 30 minutes without thinking about it. Thanks for bringing it up. Like, I appreciate you bringing it up.
No, I get it.
And like, one of the tough things about my dad passing was how abrupt it was. So like, I don't know how familiar you are with what happened. And, before I get into this, I want to say a shout out to your dad.
Okay.
Dr. Tony was such a blessing to my family. Like, I probably worried him to death throughout all that. Like, he was there in more ways than a medical professional. He was like, he's like, throughout that process, and like, I'm scared. Like, I was dealing with fear, and, I knew I could call him, and he would sometimes just listen to me, and that was, I'm so thankful for that. And he's always been there for my family, and he's just the epitome of what I think a doctor should be, like someone to.
Absolutely.
So I can't give him enough flowers for what he's been for my family over the years. Yeah. And he's still being, he sees Asher now.
Yeah.
Harlan.
Yeah, he's never gonna quit, man.
So it's like Dad had that first stroke, and man, 3 or 4 days before he's in the hospital and like can't walk, me and him are in the yard hitting golf balls, talking about like, we're gonna go golfing this spring, and then it's like, bam, flip of the switch, like, we're not golfing anymore, like, we're dealing with rehab. And it just like, there was such a staircase of that, like, it seemed like thought that process would get good news and then 3 sets of bad news, right. And then we'd take a step here and then 3 steps back. So it was like, such a long process that happened in February, and he passed in May, and it was like, it was a long road. And I remember, at a certain point, Dad like lost the ability to like use his phone. It was odd. I don't know if you've ever been around like a stroke patient, but it's really intriguing what they're going through. So, like, if you were to go around my dad at the time after he had maybe his 4th or 5th stroke, you would think he doesn't know where he's at. But he knew exactly what he wanted to say. He just couldn't say it.
He just couldn't say it. He couldn't produce the words.
That has to be so torturous, to be trapped in your own mind.
Yes.
And know, like, a week ago I could talk and I could let you know what I'm feeling, but now I know what I'm feeling and what I want to say, but the words aren't coming out. So, like, I had my dad's phone because he had reached the point he couldn't use it. And, man, I was going through a search history, just curious, and he was experiencing symptoms, like, weeks before, he'd tell, like, hey, I would say he's Googling, like, can't use my fingers. Like, never said a word to me.
No way,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And, I won't get into the specifics of a lot of that because it was just a whirlwind.
No, I mean, I get it, like, and so there's a lesson even in that. I mean, if I'm not criticizing your dad handling it the way he did, but I mean, obviously, I feel like if you could go back, you would want him to have said something about that,
For sure.
So,
he was. I just don't think he wanted to burden me with that.
But see. And maybe it's not that, but you say that, and then I hear Asher not wanting to burden, and so that just sounds like a pattern of raising that.
Oh yeah,
just goes down, and not just in your family, and every family, and so. But so.
And then 3 months later, I lose my mom.
Yes,
That's just. Oh, I think it was 3 months later. It might have been See, I lost dad in May. Mom passed in November, but like her downhill slide started around like Halloween-ish. But it was like, so after dad, like, you know, my mom was dealing with a lot of that while dad was in the hospital dealing with his stuff too. And I was torn between two parents. Mm-hmm. Like, got this going on here. Dad's at Bowling Green, mom's at Vanderbilt. Just,
so, were you in any way, you know, emotionally recovered from the loss of your dad when your mom passed?
I don't know. I recovered. I was getting back into like a routine. Mm-hmm. And then I remember my brother called me. Like, of course, like all the stuff my mom dealt with, she was a double lung transplant recipient. And then she had gotten sick at the beginning of that year, and there's a lot of complications. And, you know, my mom I didn't really know how bad it was. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was, and I didn't know how soon things were going to happen. So it's like, my brother called me after, like, I went to watch the high school play football, and he called me. He's like, hey, it's like, if you want to see her, you need to, you know, get down there. And it's like, man, I remember, like, man, I just went through this. Like, and it's just a lot.
So that was last year, right? So,
yeah.
So it's been a year, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And losing both of your parents in the same year is traumatic for anybody. What would you say? Are you even at a place where you could begin to give someone advice, or do you still need time and separation away from those experiences to really be able to look back and make an accurate assessment of, hey, this is what you should probably be doing right now?
Man, I don't think there's any like cookie cutter template for how to like deal with it. Everybody is going to deal with things in their own way. The best advice I could give someone is like, if you're dealing with that, even just one parent, like there's times that you feel like, man, this I don't know that I'm ever going to recover. Like things get, like you have to try to be conscientious, and like I have people to lean on. There are people that still care about me, and maybe not a light at the end of the tunnel, but things are gonna get better. You're gonna get back to a routine. And I think about my dad every day, and I think about my mom every day. My grandma passed in 2014. I think about her every day. Well, once a day in some capacity, she crosses my mind. But you know, it's I'm at a point of acceptance, and you know, just the thankfulness that they're not suffering.
Yeah.
I watched both my parents like just suffer. It wasn't like a bam. With my grandma, in a lot of ways, that hers happened so quickly. Like I don't think you didn't watch it drag out for 6 months, you know. And it was so difficult because she was such a crutch for me to lean on throughout my entire life. It was difficult to cope with, but it was like ripping the Band-Aid off as opposed to like peeling it off like over 6 months. Right. You know, that's a little different. I hope I'm answering that question.
No, you're good. Another way, you're answering the question. I think another way I want to ask this question is, how important is it to give yourself permission to grieve?
Incredibly. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I look back and I'm like, I grieved emotion. I had my cries in private, and you know, we talk about it, and it's okay to do this in front of. I don't think I would change it because that's how I cope, right. And that's how I do think it's like, I mean, if you don't deal with things like that and you need a shoulder to lean on, by all means, like, you need to seek help and seek someone to talk to. And in a lot of ways, I could have probably benefited from talking to like maybe a professional that's coming at this from like a non-biased, non-relate, like an outside person. I could have probably benefited from that. I think everyone would benefit from therapy, even like people that are in a great place mentally.
Yeah,
benefit from therapy.
The vast majority of people.
And I haven't talked about this much since I've been here, but before I was a teacher, I worked in mental health for a couple of years, and that was my bachelor's degree. I double majored in English literature, but in human services, counseling, psychology. Mm-hmm. That's what I graduated, and I worked in mental health for So I have a great appreciation for the field of mental health.
Yeah.
If you are a person that even if you think you're just in a great place mentally, you benefit from therapy. Someone to talk to, even
just
if it's just someone that doesn't have a vested interest in what you're talking about. I can talk to a bystander differently than I can talk to you or my wife, or you're coming into it with you got stake in the game, and this person you're gonna get an objective opinion from this person, or even someone to listen to you.
Well, it's like you take somebody that diets and exercises and walks every day. They're healthy.
Yep.
But are they the healthiest they can be? No. They can go to the gym. They can run. They can do things that challenge them. And so all up there, even with people that aren't dealing with some kind of mental health issue, a therapist is going to be able to look at this person and be able to see where they're not being challenged, or maybe just see a little something that they can poke or prod at and introduce a new perspective. Because I don't care who you are, you don't have life figured out. I don't have life figured out.
I'm never going to have
have life figured out. But me being able to say that means that I have life figured out more than those who feel like they have life figured out. Or they're like, I'm fine where I'm at. It's like, no, nobody's. You might be happy with where you're at, and you might be okay with where you're at, but you're not perfect where you're at. You're not good enough where you're at. You're never going to be. So there's always room.
Well, I feel like the pursuit of that is what makes everything worthwhile. I'm 33, and like we talked earlier, I don't know where I'm headed professionally or aspirationally, but just like the beauty of the pursuit and where I'm at, an appreciation for it. I don't have things figured out, and I'm going to ride this until it goes somewhere.
Sure. But life's a journey, man, and I'll mention Jordan Peterson one more time. Don't aim so high that you can't hit it, but aim low, aim high enough that if you miss, you can make an adjustment and get better. And always be making growth. Making growth, that doesn't make sense. But you know what I'm trying to say. Make room for improvement. Try to grow. But I appreciate you coming out, man. It's good to talk to you. And
hey, man, this was a blast.
Do you think that you'll be able to come out for this super pod?
Oh yeah, I should be able to.
13th.
I say yes right now. I have to double check with the bosses at home.
We can say the intent.
I want to make it happen.
Yeah, the intent.
I want to do this again.
I really want to this is my long-term plan to get you all here so I can make you all watch wrestling.
I am such a podcast head, man. I love it. This has been I listen to Rogan, and I'm a picture I want to do that. So this has been a blast for me. I want to do this again. If you're open to having me back
again, man. I gotta get the Wilsons on here. I gotta get Alex and Ryan. Tomorrow I'm having I
feel like there's so many. Man, I don't know how long we've been here. But we've touched on so many things. There's a lot of stuff we could still touch on.
Yeah, but it is getting late. I wanted to dive into more, but I know I don't have the mental capacity to do that right now. So
let's do it again sometime.
Let's do it again, all right?
Get us when my book comes out, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna plug that real quick.
Well,
It'll be right. My working title right now is Dead End Redemption.
Dead End Redemption?
Yeah, I know. A lot of people, I'm getting flagged from Michaela. It's it sounds too much like Red Dead Redemption. So we may toy with that a little bit. But I plan on that being printed and ready for purchase before Christmas break. That's the goal.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm in the final stages of that, and I expect you're going to receive a free copy. I expect to see it somewhere in the background of the podcast.
Well, there's slots there, so I can have another shelf.
I think the initial published version will be a 6x9 inch.
Okay.
It'll be hard. I'll get you a hardcover copy.
Yeah.
When I'm a best-selling author, I'll bring it.
All right. All right, man. Well,
I am my second book. You're gonna have to sign a release for that for me.
All right. Yeah.
So I've started working on my
proofread.
second one. No, it's you're going to be in it if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The plan on the second, I'm about 2-3 chapters in. We're gonna rekindle that 2009 Monroe County football season.
It's all right.
So I plan on, I think legally to use like your names. I'll have to have you like give me permission for your NIL.
Give him permission as long as I am not
Oh, you'll be in a good light.
incriminated in any way, shape, or form.
You'll be in a good light.
All right.
Sounds good,
All right.
man.
Well, let's get you back to the family. I know
I
Michaela's
appreciate you.
probably back
She
home.
may not be.
She may not be.
She may be hoping we stay. I'll stay
right.
the night.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming
Appreciate
out.
you having me. It's been a
Take
blast.
care.
Let's do it
I'll see you
again.
in a few weeks if you come out for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's the intention.
All right.
Awesome.